that's only in the foreseeable future. We don't
Is
know
there
that
anything,
yet.
any research has
I
been
mean, I
done
can-
as far as environmental issues?
Well, we've heard Mr. Booth say about a possibility. You know, there's always possibilities. You can file under the Restored Grant Phase 3, I believe it is, where it would help
I
to
guess
clean up that
along with
site.
this
But
I was
then,
thinking about the fact that it is on the river.
but that's what I was saying earlier. If you have ownership and if then you can apply for certain grants. You can talk to these possibilities, these rumors that are going around with possible people that want to take ownership of the property. But until you own it,
Right.
you can't do any of this
If the
stuff.
property does have environmental issues and you do apply for
Well,
grants to demolish it, it's still not going to be able to be a tax generating.
Well, it depends. I mean, one of the things
I'm just
personally,
wondering if any research has been done, if the board is aware of any of
Yes.
those issues. Okay.
we did a Water Street revitalization project.
Yeah.
And through the course of that project, one of the things we were looking at is, do we add green space there, open up the river? Do we add parking there to make it better for the downtown merchants to have some more parking? Ideally, I'm going to say me personally, I would like properties that would contribute to the tax base. So do I want to own a hunk of green that's not going to contribute to the tax base? My preference would be no. But is there another option? Because there's very limited space. When they built that building, they built it on a very small parcel. So there may be, that whole piece of property may take a totally different look eventually. But my personal feeling is if we can get a taxable property in there, that's what we want to do. If we could keep the existing steel building, the original review of the building, it could have been fixed. It may still be fixed. That would be my preference. Do what needs to be done to bring that building up to code, use it as a big business incubator, put a whole bunch of businesses in there, get something going in the downtown core. The building is falling down, we have to do something about it. Whether the county owns it, whether we own it, whether the Slavins own it, the taxpayers are going to have to take care of that. Unfortunately, that's the position we've been put in.
So you're talking about the warehouse and also
the two for the aluminum building seems to be structurally sound but needs work. So that, as we go forward, I mean, the grants and all that, which is great. Ideally, somebody would step forward after we take ownership and say, you know what, I want to develop that property. We go out to bid.
If it's able to be developed because it is on riverfront and, yes, those issues.
Whatever the opportunities are. We want to look at the opportunities for that parcel. There are none right now, and that's not what we want to do.
In the estimate, does that include
All
any asbestos
Yes.
removal?
Yes.
That included all remediation and taking all three buildings.
We were very aware of
That's not what
that.
we're looking at.
That was one of the things, we're very aware. It's an old building. So one of the things that we obviously had them check for was the asbestos. Because we understand that's obviously going to be the high cost. Everybody around here is very familiar with that.
What everyone has to understand is if you were here last Tuesday night, and up until last Tuesday night when Bob came to our meeting, I wasn't really, I think Mike Matt asked the question, why couldn't the county take control of the property and spread the pain over it? And then he made us very aware. I've been to Star Lake, Don Park. They would have to do that for Star Lake people. You're talking millions, not probably double-digit millions to clean that site. Okay? Jones and Laughlin, you've got Governor Telk probably is in that condition. We're talking probably tens of $1 million. What do you think your county taxes would be if they took control? And he made, and light went out of my brain and said, well, I can see where he's coming from. What he's here for tonight is if we say no, he's going back tomorrow and stop the foreclosure. If that happens, Water Street's going to be closed for a year because he's not going to have an opportunity to foreclose again until a year from now. So you can be sure that Water Street will probably stay closed for the next year.
But there's
Am
obviously...
I speaking out of, I don't want to put you on the spot, but probably, that would be your recommendation?
It'll be closed until that structure
Do
is
something
taken
with
down.
that structure.
The structure comes down.
But the other thing
That's
is
what we're all facing right now.
And the back taxes could be charged back.
If we do that,
We could end up paying the $66,000.
we could end up paying $66,000 back to the
School
county.
have
The
to
school
pay
pay
theirs
back $77,000. and the town pay back their
It's
20.
not a good situation in these things.
So in other words, getting the property from nothing would turn around costing us $16,000 more than what we said we'd pay for it in the first place.
But you gotta remember, you got business owners down through there too, and it's affecting their business. We've heard Mr. Corley's tonight, I know Mrs.
Well,
Miller
it's a
sells
horrible
down there.
eyesore for our community.
You know, in today's paper, obviously, front page news, you can see how this is affecting some of our local business people too, in that corridor. So anyways, Kathy, I'll get to you first, because there was Mr. McCully's in the back.
I think
Tom McCully.
I made, Tom Call, I'm sorry, a couple of points, you know, in the discussion that went on earlier about why don't we have an estimate and so on. I think it would be illegal for you to spend any money and get these estimates and get ideas on property you don't own.
Exactly.
Once you take ownership, then you can create a plan. I agree with Charlie when he says it would be nice to have the plan first and then decide, but I don't think you're in that position. You know,
That is correct.
Any
That's why I said
expenditures
you can't access
would be like a gift, I believe. You'd be gifting some corporation that has opted not to belong. Now, my other point is I'm here to speak as chief of the fire department. I look at that building, and like my brother Joe, up till a few months ago, I said, no way should we be putting any money into that property. No way. I went down Center Street this afternoon. I was aware of the hole in the back closest to Tommy's place there.
Right.
I didn't realize the one that's about 2/3 the way up.
Right.
If that building should catch on fire, every one of us is putting every single volunteer fireman in this end of the county into a situation that we should not be put into. We as a community recognize that that place is not just an eyesore, it's a public danger.
Exactly.
And if that thing catches on fire, it's going to be like Main Street. It's going to be a you all come. We're going to ask everybody in this end of the county to come. And can we safely try to protect Mr. Portley's property? And it was brought up to me today, if that thing gets going, are we going to be able to save Mr. Post's building?
You're gonna have a difficult time depending on any prevailing winds or anything
Well-
like that, and you're very familiar with that.
And I'm just saying is, and there's a whole series of pretty high tension wires there that we would have to wait till they were cut for us, which would be fairly quick because MED is very quick, but it would be a time frame, and we would have a mess. So from a standpoint of the volunteers, I think we need to move ASAP. One of my volunteers said to me today, he said, second truck alarm is going to be Paris Excavating.
I got a question.
That's going to be the second truck
Since
in.
you're the chief, question for you. Greg Friedel came to me earlier and we were looking at the pictures. From the roofs, from the pitch of the roof, down along the side of the building, they drew a plumb. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, I presume. What would you say, Greg? 8 inches to almost a foot difference. That gives you an idea that the structure now is, it's happening. The place is coming down. The weight is tremendous. As it rains, the snow is melting, as it rains and things like that, it's coming down. If there was no way, now my second question, my question to you would be is, one, would you send anybody inside that building if it was on fire? Of course
Absolutely not.
Exactly. We can't send anybody in there. So that's why that property is so dangerous. That's why it's our responsibility to ensure, even our fire department, you've been informed of everything that's going on over there. You know, we've been trying to tell everybody this is what's happening. We've talked with the county. They've told us what they can and cannot do. And we try to weigh all these ideas as far as, you know, in the future, what the cost is going to be, how we're going to pay for it, because it's quite obvious you do have an option. And the final option would be is you don't have to do anything. Problem is, though, when it does present itself as a public safety, you're going to pay for it because we have to protect you. That's our main priority. And it's going to be costing the taxpayer to protect you. In other words, how we're going to take that property down. So if it comes to that, you're still going to pay for it. But at least with ownership, it gives us and provides us an opportunity, restore grants, other forms of grants, anything like that.
Getting bids.
Bids, possible rumors, anything like that, you know? But right now, the only person who can do anything, Tom, is the Slavin family.
And we would have to make sure that they were not just gonna pay the taxes, but were in fact going to tear the place down. I mean, there is no salvage in
Well,
that
I would
building.
hope so. I wouldn't think they're gonna open back up for business with holes in it.